What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I love it when the corporate press has to make a retraction, y'all. I just love that because check this out. Morning Joe walks back guest's wild claim about FBI Director Kash Patel partying at nightclubs. Check this out.
Circle back to a segment from Friday's show. Frank Figliuzzi was on that morning during this hour discussing the work of administration officials. At the end of that segment, Figliuzzi said that FBI Director Kash Patel has reportedly been more visible at nightclubs than at his office at FBI headquarters. This was a misstatement. We have not verified that claim. We will be right back. Backseat role, at least to this point, in the first 102 or 3 days, wherever we are right now. What do you make of that? That he's just been a little less visible than I think a lot of people, Trump observers, expected he would be.
Yeah, well, reportedly he's been visible at nightclubs far more than he has been on the 7th floor of the Hoover building. And there are reports that daily briefings to him have been changed from every day to maybe twice weekly. So this is both a blessing and a curse, because if he's really trying to run things without his experience, without any experience level, things could be bad. If he's not plugged in, things could be bad, but he's allowing agents to run things. So we don't know where this is going, but the one word that keeps coming back at me from inside that building is chaos. People don't know what's happening from day to day.
There's also been reporting, I believe, from the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, that Patel spending a lot of his time still at his home in Las Vegas. Has been sort of working remotely for at least part of the week.
Something I want to know is, what is the criteria for unsubstantiated claims? Because MSNBC does this constantly, right? They're always on about this. I cover all those Lawrence O'Donnell clips all the time where he makes these wild accusations that just aren't true, and you never hear any sort of walking of back of statements from him or from anybody else. The corporate press, other places, ABC, NBC, they all do this. And it's like, these people lie. So what's the criteria for when they walk something back? When do they want to retract a statement? That's what I want to know. But this is just fascinating. Just makes a bunch of unsubstantiated claims, right? And the fact that he said, oh, it's chaos. As a matter of fact, that news article, they can't even report on that correctly. As a matter of fact, let's get into that right quick, and then we'll finish talking about this here in a second. Check it out. Morning Joe host Jonathan Lemire walked back a wild claim made by network contributor Frank Figliuzzi that FBI Director Kash Patel spent far more time at nightclubs than his office on the 7th floor of the Hoover building on Monday. Figliuzzi, a former FBI assistant director, appeared on the show Friday and sharply criticized Patel as inexperienced, alleging widespread chaos within the Bureau under his leadership. That's not what he didn't say anything about widespread chaos, did he? No, he just said there were some reports of chaos. That's not widespread. That is some reports of chaos. But they can't even report on their own backtracks accurately, right? And it's fascinating what they do. It really is. It truly is. These people are scumbags. They know. It's like when you build your world upon lies, eventually you're going to trip over some of the landmines you've left behind you, right? Like, it's just fascinating what the corporate press does. They lie, they manipulate, they cheat. Right? We go over this all the time. The way they phrase things, they use these qualifiers that they shouldn't throw in, like widespread chaos. There's no widespread chaos. What the F are you talking about, my guy? Like, seriously. But you gotta love what the corporate press, they're constantly on about this. It's always Trump bad. It's always Trump bad. Blah, 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 blah. And it's especially notable with Donald Trump because they love taking him out of context, because Donald Trump is one of these type of people that you can ask him a question and he'll just keep talking about the same thing he's been talking about. And that's what the corporate press does. As we covered on my last video, like Kristen Welker, she'll ask a question as Trump is still speaking, and then she'll throw something in there, like with the whole citizenship thing, talking about, do you think citizens should get due process? And he's like, oh, I don't know.
Everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
They were clearly talking about non-citizens, but then the corporate press, what do? They take, he doesn't know if you and I should get due process. What? How did you derive that from that? Like, no, that is not what he's saying. These people, they don't understand context or something, or they're intentionally lying to people. Now, which one of those is more likely to be true here? Because think about that for a second. How do you not understand context? Because they would absolutely have to not understand context to be able to derive that he's talking about American citizens in that. And then the way they name their headlines and all that other stuff, they love to manipulate everything. So it's like, how do they get this from that? That's the question that I always have. And you know, all this manipulation is damaging the United States gravely, especially our politics, because, you know, the corporate press, they put out this narrative, right? Oh, Donald Trump did a thing or whatever, right? And then Democrats, they don't care about the truth, it seems like, because they don't go and research anything that the corporate press reports on. So they just take the corporate press narrative and then they just run with that. And then they look like absolute buffoons when they get up there and they're spreading nonsense, misinformation, lies, hoaxes, whatever it may be.
This country is ours. It doesn't belong to whoever is in the White House. It belongs to you. It belongs to us. It belongs to we, the people.
They look like absolute buffoons. Just look at the state of the current Democratic Party. It's in utter chaos, right? You got Bernie Sanders going after Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, like the other day, gave this press briefing, and it was so apparent that he's oblivious to what is going on. Check this out.
Americans are noticing. The polls this week show Trump has the lowest 100-day approval rating since they started polling 80 years ago. The lowest. Even worse, 72% of Americans think it's likely that Trump's handling of the economy will walk us directly into a recession.
There was a poll out today that has your approval ratings lower than any other congressional leader at 17%. Are you concerned that you may be a liability for your party?
Polls come and go. Our party is united. We're on our front foot. We're stepping forward and going after Trump and having real success.
Fascinating that is, isn't it? Right? He's going on about Donald Trump's polling numbers, blah, 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 blah. And then when asked about his own polling numbers, how they're lower than Donald Trump's, Chuck Schumer's approval rating is lower than Donald Trump's, is a lot lower, by the way. He's like, oh, well, you know, we don't care about polls. It's like, what? You were just going on about Donald Trump's polling numbers. What are you talking about, my guy? So they look like absolute buffoons when they get up there and spread this propaganda from the corporate press. I don't know if it's DNC propaganda or if it's just corporate press propaganda being spread by the DNC and these politicians. Like, which one is it here, right? It could be a circuitous loop of just utter nonsense. That's what it seems like, because they don't report the facts. And they constantly leave out facts, so it's lies through omission. And we know it's lies. It has to be lies. Nobody is that incompetent to not understand truth and to not understand context. You can't not understand. I know I hate the double negative, but it's impossible to not be able to understand context of a conversation. So it's got to be intentional. And it's like, what is our institutions, our news institutions, come to when you cannot trust what they're saying? It's terrible, folks, when we have to go and fact check the fact bringers, right? Fact checking the fact checks, right? Like that article from that video yesterday, as a matter of fact, which honestly for me was 10 minutes ago because of how I load up my videos or whatever. But the video from yesterday for you guys, because you guys are the ones watching this right now. So, but it's like with that, they just completely take something out of context. But see, the reason I say it's propaganda, it's lies, it's manipulation, is because they'll take something out of context. That's one thing, right? But placing it with different context, that's an entirely different story. And this is what they do constantly, and it's a form of manipulation. And we, like I said, we go over the manipulations all the time, but you know, I think I'm rambling on at this point. So I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. It's insane, y'all, what's going on. Like I said before Trump got elected, buckle up, because if he wins, it's going to be on. It really is going to be on, and it is on. The Democrats are in full swing. The propaganda is in full swing. And, it's sad that it takes other people, podcasters online, to be able to sift through all the BS to get to the truth, to get to the facts, and bring you guys the facts. That is nonsense, if you ask me. It's ridiculously stupid. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.